The peace will be with you. 11th Sunday in Ordinary Time, commentary to the readings. The Lord is with us, for us forever. In today's readings, there is a very special gradualism in describing who the members of God's family are. First, we are His property because we listen to His voice and keep His covenant. Therefore, we are saint and priest. See first reading. Second, we are reconciled in spite of everything, loved for free, without a price to pay, because He has paid. And there is everything to gain. See second reading. 3. We are the ones who deserve God's compassion, God who has mercy on us, who need us, and henceforth we deserve a shepherd who will lead us out of evil and weakness, out of death, so that we may have eternal life. See Gospel of today. According to these points, we try to penetrate the word that is given to us, whether we like it or not, to the detriment of the political correctness that is fashionable in our time. In the Gospel, Jesus encourages His shepherds not to turn our backs on the flock of Israel, marking out the fence, a precise pasture, and a calculated field of operation that does not allow for misunderstanding. Ordering them, He said to His disciples, "Do not go among the Gentiles, and do not enter the cities of the Samaritans. Rather, go back to the sheep that have perished from the house of Israel." Of course, this commandment of the Lord is not an absolute, prescriptive command. It is rather a didactic way for the new disciples. In fact, it always goes further, as in the Gospel of Matthew. The Lord will explain that salvation is awaited by all people and must reach all nations. See Matthew chapter 28. But at this moment, we must reflect on the meaning and resonance of being who we are out of compassion and love for the Lord, and also on caring His shepherds to whom we are subject as His exclusive and reserved flock. Those of His flock are merciful with Him, who feel compassion. Feeling sorry has perhaps more negative than positive meaning today, probably because we have forgotten that when someone feels sorry for another, it does not mean that they look down on them, but look directly into their eyes. One can regret, from the Latin cum patior, equal, I suffer together. If I look at the other in his pain, in his desire, while he looks at his hope and his relief. In order to feel compassion, I have to be next to my neighbor, rib to rib, and even rib to one another, as a man and a woman should be created to support each other, not to mention that from the creation of man in Jesus descends the unedited creativity of God, that is, looking at man with the same eyes as man, looking at every man from the same height, face to face, side by side. After Jesus' humiliation, kenosis, and incarnation. This alone should be enough to make us understand the immensity of God's love, to make us feel privileged by His compassion, which is salvation for us, victory over our suffering, over our pains. His passion is to come and find us wherever we get lost, not to get lost again, to grace with us so that life is in us and that we always have the same eternity of life. Blessed are you whom I pity, should sum up all the blessing, and we are happy that it is. To be grace is another of the meaning that are no longer fashionable and perhaps hated in our times. It cannot be denied that today we prefer to be the interpreters and masters of our own choices, even at the cost of throwing ourselves from the tops of modern temples. We prefer to bow before those who promise the ephemeral pride of being only for ourselves, of toiling for bread, which in reality is only a stone which we do not want for our brothers and sisters because we want it only for ourselves. Be fed does not mean a better life, but a certain hope in Jesus. So, Jesus gives us the church that flows from his side next to ours, gathers us at the open wound of his side, giving us shepherds who show us the way to give us drink. The shepherds that he gives us are not above his flock, but in the flock, who follow the same path as the flock, who drink from the same source. Flocks and shepherds must to some extent learn to gather together before the supreme shepherd. For this reason, not all can be fed at once, but only this time when the flock is ready. See Italian pronto. With its shepherd, that it can go anywhere and can gather the other sheep and show them how to live as the flock of the Lord, and that takes time grows. If we don't first learn to love and love ourselves as a flock, if we don't learn to find comfort and hope in his compassion, if we don't recognize that the only meaning of being a herd of grazing, eating food means finding the green pasture of eternal life. Otherwise, we can never show, even to the other sheep who are outside his flock, how great and sure our hope is.